In today's brief podcast, we're going to be talking about hiring commercial drivers and the challenges recruiters face when hiring the drivers. Today is an important topic in many regards, and Sam is next to me, and he has an extensive experience in driver hiring. And he worked both in the U.S. and in Europe, and he can tell us more about his company and
how I do recruiting.
And what recruitment really entails.
Yeah, okay. So let me introduce myself first of all and my company. So my name is Sam. I've been doing recruiting and everything that's related in logistics because I worked in all departments during 5 years. So, but I chose recruiting most profitable one and plus most challenging and most demand. Most companies are really in need of recruiting. So there are high demand for recruiting. So that's why I'm doing this business as my main job. So I've entered in the trucking business in 2020. I work in bigger companies, starting from Energy Trucking, Lion Star Logistics, Olive Corpus, and there are some other bigger companies that we helped with recruiting. So sometimes, I remember we even provided some drivers to even STL truckers, while they've been in need of drivers and about to cover their trucks. So I could say I'm in this industry for longer, and most people know me as a recruiter or marketing specialist. Except recruiting, we also do marketing services, to bigger trucking companies with more than 200 trucks, R1 Cargo, and semi-auto trans, and etc.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, sure.
And I know a lot of companies, especially you mentioned STL truckers. I think they have over 200 trucks, as far as I know.
500.
500. Oh wow. Yeah. They have a huge driver turnover, right? So and there's an issue with retention, right? Because a lot of drivers don't stay long, right? They work for a few months and then they try to leave. So this is one of the biggest challenge that companies face, as far as I know.
Okay.
What are the other big challenges that trucking companies face when recruiting drivers today?
So the biggest problem, every company had their different views. Some companies only rely on recruiting, recruiting services because they don't have enough knowledge how to recruit, how to do the marketing, how to switch on ads via other social media platforms. So that's why they use recruiting services in most cases. But in the same time, they also can find drivers by themselves, but there's lack of knowledge. So most companies struggle with lack of knowledge, and plus they're candidates, specialists. Not enough specialists who can do the recruiting too. So, to cut it short, companies struggle finding good specialists, recruiting specialists who can find them drivers. So that's the most struggle that companies face.
Right.
And driver shortage.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest problems, especially now with
market.
With the market, and going back on track, and the chronic shortage of drivers has always been a problem in the industry. What are the ways companies can, enhance their retention? a lot of good drivers don't seem to stay long.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
So yeah, like there are a lot of ways like to improve the retention, like and keep the drivers longer in the company. It can be like motivating them with money, for sure. Like there have been a case like I could say, let's take Linestar Logistics. 2022 they have been with 40, 50 trucks, and now they have like 200 trucks. So because they implemented one method that kept the company, grow and keep the retention part. So another thing can be because of expenses. For example, most companies, Uzbek companies or other companies are getting trucks from rental, Penske, Ryder, but their costs are like really high. For example, a rental truck is $1,000 and maintenance fee 10, 12, cents per mile. So that means, drivers like $5,000 gross is going for deductions, like only for the rentals, only for the fees. So because of those expenses, drivers are like mostly, leave the company within 2 weeks. So they even don't want to work more than 2 weeks. So another thing is solution can be decreasing the deductions in the company, and next thing is like hire more experienced dispatchers and professional dispatchers to the company, and at the same time improve the safety score of the company. So because if the safety score of the company is low, like there are unsafe driving, ELD violations, brokers are definitely will check the company before giving a load or higher price or like good shipments. So in the end, the dispatch stays, even that's the best dispatch, the broker is not going to give the load because they are like high unsafe driving in the record of the company. So
there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, everything is related. So but from recruiting part, what can be done to retain like drivers longer? It can be by putting KPIs. For example, after driving 10,000 miles, for example, driver came to the company and driving or working after driving like 10,000 miles, we can decrease some parts of the deductions. For example, we are charging $1,000 for a lease driver to rent the truck weekly, right? After driving 10,000 miles in the company, we can do like $900.
Okay.
Or like percentage, we're charging 15% for dispatch fee, right? After driving like 20,000 miles, so we can decrease the deduction for dispatch fee, not 15, but 12, 11.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, in that way, driver have a motivation to make even more.
Right.
And or we can put like sign-on bonus, or based on the period. For example, $2,000 when you come to our company. We could say to use this. We could use this trick to, make the driver interested in our company and get him. And how we do it, like how we give that sign-on bonus, we're not gonna give this $2,000 right away. We can give it like after 2 weeks of work, like $200. After 6 of work, another $400. And after like 10 or 11 weeks of work, another like $600 or $1,000. So that's also gonna be a bit effective to stay, because the driver, wants to say, okay, I'll work 2 weeks. If I work another 2 weeks or another 4 weeks, I will get another like $600 or $1,000. So that also makes the driver stay in the company for longer.
Well, it's very interesting to learn about different ways to incentivize drivers to stay with the company. But a lot of companies don't know those ways to motivate their drivers, right?
Some of them even introduce to some companies these techniques, but they don't want to use it.
Okay.
Because I don't know, they don't want to learn, they don't want to try. They're frozen, so
right.
able to work with those companies. So they're not going to expand. That's what
I gotcha. So when you basically recommend drivers to different companies, you also tell them how to best retain the drivers, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what type of drivers do you normally work with? I mean, are they owner-operators or company drivers?
Yeah. So in these days, mostly we're hiring like owner-operators because there are high demand for owners. And another thing, the market itself, I mean, for example, if we hire company drivers or lease operators to some other companies, we get paid like $500 or $600 or even more based on the company's requirement. But I mean, most of the money goes into like generating leads, like into ads. So we find drivers using social media, like switching on ads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and most of the money goes in there. So another reason can be like price. Price is higher in owner operators, so that we can invest confidently into social media, like knowing that we have we have return, so that we can, I mean, cover our investment and make a profit a little bit. So in the same time, in this market, the current market in trucking business, the cost of truck maintenance and rentals and paying the company driver is not worth it, because the company needs to pay to the driver like 65 cents per mile, and others 50 or 60 cents goes to the fuel, and another like 20 cents per mile that's gonna go to maintenance fee of the truck. So in the end, the company is not making anything. So with company drivers. So that's why I also recommend other companies not to, rather than buying like $100,000 truck, it's better to invest into recruiting or like invest into getting to their company owner operators. So that's what I want to tell.
Well,
owner operators like our like main recruiting point.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. Also, as far as I know, a lot of drivers in today's market are primarily immigrants. And I know that there is a new ruling that requires a lot of CDL drivers to be proficient in English. Yeah, and I think the federal, FMCSA really enforces this regulation. How does that impact the hiring process? I mean, in general, recruitment.
Okay, so basically from start, we've been doing recruiting and hiring the drivers with English proficiency. Like if they don't know English, we won't be hiring. We're not gonna hire that driver. So, and that may affect immigrants who don't know like English language, so they may lose job 100%, or some of them or most of them already lost jobs, because I've seen companies with 300 or like 200 trucks, they already fired Uzbek guys or some other guys who doesn't know English. So monthly they already hired 20, 30 drivers, and fired the same amount of drivers. But when it comes to hiring, that's not going to be a big problem for us.
Right.
Yeah, because from start we've been doing hiring only for drivers with English proficiency.
But how do you vet them? I mean, do you conduct some sort of test? Is this an interview?
Yeah. We do the interview. Our recruiting team guys do the interview, and they talk only in English while interviewing the driver. So if the driver don't know the English, we'll let the driver go and and postpone the driver's application. So another thing, from start, it's been a violation. If the driver doesn't know English, I think.
Do you use any software tools such as Driver Reach or 10th Street to generate leads? And are those leads good enough? I mean, do you normally have good drivers based on those leads?
Okay.
Because I've always, I mean, I've heard a number of conflicting stories that I mean, 10th Street can give you a lot of leads, but those drivers are not good.
Exactly. These platforms, I'm like, I don't recommend like using these platforms lead database, so because they're gonna be mostly I mean, lazy drivers who are looking for, I mean, to drive weekly 2,000 miles or about 2.5 miles, 1,000 miles like weekly. So it is not gonna generate any amount of money if the driver drives like 2,500 miles weekly. So that means about 4 or 5K gross, which goes only for expenses. So with this kind of drivers, the company is not gonna make money. So that's why to hire like even more drivers and efficient drivers who really want to work and drive more, I would suggest social media. I mean, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, because I've seen in the statistics, 96% of drivers in US have their own social media. I mean, Facebook or like Telegram or some other apps like TikTok. So 90% of them have got it, but they don't have 10th Street or Driver Reach apps in their phone. So that's what I want to know.
But what is an employable driver? I mean, so based on what you're saying, not every driver is a good driver. So what does a good driver mean? I mean, what does it mean to be a hireable or an employable driver?
Okay, and driver who really wants to work, but like most companies want their truck to roll all the time. So that's why we could say best drivers can be team drivers because they can keep rolling all the time and keep that truck like generate money for them. And when it comes to solo drivers, more than 3,500, like 3,500 miles and beyond, like more miles
weekly.
Weekly driven drivers are good. So we could say they are good, and plus their experience also plays a main role. I mean, in insurance part, like one plus year of experience need to have, because they need, how to say, like most companies require this thing. So till that time, I mean, to gain experience, I recommend to drivers to be a teammate to someone else. And then after a year of experience, after seeing that snowy days and after making sure that they are confident while they're driving solo, they can switch into solo after a year. So good driver is like solo driver, 3,500 plus miles driver.
Right. To add to your point, a lot of insurance companies really want to see drivers with 2+ years of experience. And it's going to be a lot easier for companies, at renewals. I mean, insurance renewals. So
exactly.
But finding drivers with 2+ years of experience is somewhat challenging.
Yes.
My other question will be about compliance. Do you look at the driver's background, their record, their record of violations when you make hiring decisions?
Yeah, sure.
Or referral?
Yeah, sure. Like before running NVR and PSP, we actually ask from the driver himself, do you have your own report, so that we're not going to waste money. I can run your report like in background. And some of them have their NVRs because they've applied to another company. I mean, 6 months ago or a year ago, and they may have it. Even if they don't have it, we ask like if you have any violations or accidents in your background. If they say like I have 2-3 accidents, so we say, okay, like we won't be able to hire you because of the safety side.
Right.
And the next thing, like we ask what any other violation that you did. So if the driver says it's clean, everything is good, then we do their MVR checks and drug tests and etc. Then clearinghouse. But
Right.
first of all, we ask from the driver himself.
So you basically not only check their background through running their MVR and PSP records, but also you help with
Yes.
onboarding.
Yes, exactly. So there have been cases like we hired one driver, one company, but their safety team didn't check their background. I mean, they didn't check, and they even didn't send a clearinghouse consent, etc. And turns out, I mean, that driver, like, is SAP driver, so because when we asked, the driver didn't tell about that. I mean,
Okay.
He said, I'm good and everything. And we thought that company already checked the driver and run the MVR and clearinghouse and scheduled it to drug test. But that company didn't do anything. I mean, they promised us we take care and onboarding part by ourselves. We schedule the driver ourselves. We just, I mean, referred the driver, and they even didn't do that like proper hiring. And
I
turns
see.
out, I mean, the driver became a SAP driver, and it
Wow.
was obvious, like while inspection period, like in weigh station, driver been caught and by the inspector, and turns out
Right.
he's SAP driver, and it, I mean, gave the company really hard time because brokers, I mean, while checking, it says like in this company it's not safe, like SAP driver,
right,
like in the record. So, and because of that SAP driver, all the trucks of the company being inspected, like every weigh station kept like stopping the trucks all the time, like every 2 weeks. I mean, the weigh stations have been kept the drivers, but eventually company couldn't stay because there have been a lot of inspections, a lot of problems, and safety score like skyrocket, and then the company owner had to shut down the company.
A lot of small and mid-sized companies, may not afford recruitment service. Because obviously they have to, pay for every lead, right, and or every candidate that gets employed, and they want to have the hiring service in-house. Do you help such companies? I mean, do you normally, let's say, if I have an ABC Trucking, and say I want to start hiring in-house, but I don't know where to start. If I say ask you, would you be able to help set up that hiring
sure,
team, perhaps training my team, so that eventually we can do it in-house?
Yeah, that's possible. Like because most growing companies want to see all the departments in-house. Like they try their best and do whatever it's required to do the in-house thing because everything is going to be in the same place. So I mean, communication and growing is also going to be fast, and privacy. So there's also going to be privacy. Yeah, we help, but
so you have that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I also help to some companies to do in-house, and for example, I prepared some students to Longhorn company, like 3-4 recruiters, prepared and set up recruiting department for them. And another thing, like Olive Corp, like company, I prepared some students and made them in-house, so they've been doing an outsource before that. And next thing, Line Star Logistics. Like I myself worked in Line Star for about like 1.5 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like before leaving the company, I mean, I prepared my students and
Okay.
put my guys into management.
Gotcha.
So, and there are some other companies too.
Well, they say that the quality of your company drivers is directly correlated with your company's success. And I think making sure that your drivers are, stay compliant and drive defensively is important. Do you also help companies or companies you work with on-the-job training of the drivers, defensive driving, orientation, helping with some safety manuals and proposing and enforcing some policies or helping them enforce policies.
Yeah, like sometimes we recommend to companies to do these kind of trainings, and before hiring the driver to the company, we do the conference between company and the driver, and at the same time we stay on the line while they're interviewing the driver or talking with the driver. So because there are some companies with not good candidates, like I've been talking with one company and doing conference one driver, organizing conference call. But the safety guy who's been interviewing the driver doesn't know English well. So because of that safety guy, the driver, didn't join the company. So we lost the driver. So that's why we try to stay on the line and try to explain or listen to what kind of company actually, what's going on and who is interviewing the driver. So that's why we try to avoid this kind of situations. And about training part, we all the time inform to companies to hire drivers with their English proficiency, etc. Because I've heard a case. So one Spanish guy, he doesn't know English at all. One police officer catches in the wait station, but the driver doesn't know English at all. And if the driver don't know English, how they graduated the driving school? So that's
a good question. Yeah.
So, and that means that driver been from Florida driver, and that police checked and started checking that school. With whole department, like police departments, and suspended all the drivers, CDLs who studied in that school.
Wow.
Because those drivers didn't know English well, but they're graduating and becoming truck drivers, which is, getting and bringing to the company or to the society, they can be fatals or accidents. If they don't understand the science, what's written in English or something related to these kind of problems. And so that's why English proficiency we tell to carriers the most thing,
especially
most
now,
thing,
with the current administration and tougher FMCSA regulations when it comes to English language proficiency. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a very insightful, podcast. And I definitely learned a lot about hiring.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time too.
Definitely. This is something new for me, to be honest, and I was able to learn a lot more about hiring process.
I'm also really happy to tell what I've been keeping till this day. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you. We have a service, an ESL training program for the drivers, especially working in this field, and also English training for dispatchers. Thank you.